Hello everyone and welcome back to the Football Zone and episode 2 of the club Revamp. And seeing as though this club is a hot topic at the moment because of the manager department, we're doing Chelsea.
Highly relevant situation
with
Tuchel
being sacked. We're going to talk about, there's going to be a bit of a structure to the video, making sure that it's staying relevant to the situation.
Yeah. But quick note, what do we think on Thomas Tuchel being sacked? Opinion on it? Do you think it's fair or not?
I understand why he's been sacked.
Let us know in the comments as well if you think it's fair, Thomas Tuchel's sacking. And I understand it, which we'll speak about, but to me, I think he had a bit more in the bank in terms of what he's been put through recently.
Yeah.
As a manager to warrant a bit of an extended period to get them through a sticky situation.
But you've got to speak about the current form that they're on.
The current form.
They won against Everton, the opening game of the season for Chelsea, 1-0. There wasn't an outstanding performance. They got through the game. Against Spurs, it was a 2-2 draw, but I believe they deserved the win in that game. If I'm just being honest, I watched that game.
Yeah,
Spurs got a lucky late equaliser, but at the end of the day, the game is the game.
But you can always take derbies as a different thing.
Yeah.
Things always change in derbies.
Yeah. And then the game after that, they got absolutely thumped by Leeds.
We watched that game.
3-0. They looked awful throughout. Got a red card in that game, I believe.
They had no structure to anything whatsoever.
Against Leicester, they got a 2-1 win. Again, just got by the game. And then Southampton, they lost 2-1. I believe they got a red card in that game as well.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't actually.
No, it was Koulibaly got sent off at Leeds.
Yes, it was. And then West Ham, they beat 2-1.
Which they were very lucky to beat West Ham.
Yes.
Very lucky. And then, obviously, Champions League just gone. They got beat 1-0 off Zagreb.
Which was the final nail in the coffin for Tuchel.
It was, but there is a question to being, was that actually the reason why that was the final nail in the coffin, or had already been decided that after this game that
you never know, really.
Yeah, but because obviously we'll never know, but it's what people speculate on when managers get sacked, if it was the right time and things like that.
So I think with the new owners coming in, Todd Bowley,
coming in,
spending an insane amount of money. After we've rattled off the transfers ins and outs, I'll say exactly what their transfer overall balance looked like. But to start off with, they brought in Wesley Fofana from Leicester, a 21-year-old, for £72.36 million.
Yeah. We've got
insane amount of money.
Cucurella in from Brighton, that was £58.7 million.
This isn't including add-ons though, this is the amount paid.
Yeah.
Upfront fee.
Yeah.
Then they have Raheem Sterling, which arguably could be the signing of the transfer window for Chelsea.
Yeah.
For £50 million, which is I think a great bit of business.
Koulibaly, a 31-year-old, for £34.2 million.
A bit overpriced.
And
then they brought in a youngster from Aston Villa, Carney Chukwuemeka. I can't pronounce that. Chukwuemeka.
Alright, okay.
18-year-old from Aston Villa for £16 million.
Signed Aubameyang, 33, from Barcelona for £10 million.
They brought a young goalkeeper in called Gabriel Slonina from Chicago for £8 million as well. And
they've also signed deadline day deal for Dennis Zakaria from Juventus on loan. The loan fee of $2 million, but they do have an option to buy him depending on performances next summer. So
the players going out, Timo Werner for $18 million.
After signing him a few years ago for a lot more than that.
I think it was something like $50 million.
Something like that.
Yeah, around that figure. Another one going out, Emerson, the left back. He went to West Ham for $13 million. I think that's a good bit of business.
He wasn't exactly going to get in the side, was he?
Yeah, he was never a good player anyway.
Billy Gilmore for $9 million. I think that one's
a great deal. He's went to Brighton.
Yeah. and potential new manager coming in.
From Brighton.
I think that Gilmore deal baffled me a little bit
I
because
thought it was going to be a loan move.
I would have expected a loan because he is a good player and has potential and he's only 21.
Next one, the banter.
Romelu Lukaku, loan fee of 7.2 million. Big loss. Batshuayi, they've let go to Fenerbahce.
Finally.
Do you know what? He's still only 28-year-old. That is mental. Malanga Sarr has gone on loan to Monaco, which
I don't really understand it, but
I think he's decent. He's played well when he plays. Kennedy has eventually left as well.
Yeah.
Which was about time.
And then obviously
free transfers
with Rudiger, Christensen, Marcus Alonso, Matt Maziga, Jake Clark, Salter, and Charlie Masonda Jr. all leaving on free transfers.
Yeah, so I mean,
and including, I think I've missed out. Also Ross Barkley has left the club, and so has Danny Drinkwater. They're currently without clubs as well.
Callum Hudson-Odoi has gone to Bayer Leverkusen on loan as well.
Yeah. Baba Rahman.
Yeah. Obviously, Saul Niguez has gone back to Atletico Madrid after his pure loan spell last season.
Yep. So
they've spent a grand total of
income of £52.92 million.
Yeah.
Expenditure of 253.79 million. Overall net gain / loss. Overall balance is negative 200.87 million.
It's a lot of money for a side that feels like it's got worse.
I feel like it's got worse as well, but also I feel like it's just got older for some reason.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about Chelsea this season. Obviously, performances have been poor, which we mentioned, but they've just lost something.
They've lost the character
in that team.
They've lost the character.
Yeah.
There used to be this team that was so dangerous, would just constantly have a chokehold on the game. The way that how high the centre backs played, they literally played a high and wide. The three at the back would play across the halfway line. The full-backs would be pushed up. That would allow Mount and Havertz to play narrow, and just for there to be so many options across the field.
They would always have the wing backs as wide as they can. The two forwards coming in alongside the strike. You've got the two midfielders pushing up higher, the right and left centre back pushing through, and then the centre half. And they're just tightly compressed.
And they had that Jorginho that would just play as a pivot across the entire midfield, wherever it would go.
When they win the ball back, instantly they've got options all over the pitch.
Exactly.
If you need to switch the ball out, there's someone there. If you want to play in the pockets, there's someone there. They had all of that, and then obviously we watched the game against Leeds.
Nothing.
There was no structure whatsoever.
Nothing.
They weren't playing with any midfielders. They weren't playing with a striker, which at the time they didn't have one. It was just so interesting. What do we think about the Aubameyang striker coming in?
I think they needed a goal scorer. I think he is a goal scorer. Whether or not he'll actually perform in Chelsea, we don't know. He's got the number 9 shirt, so there's potential
number 9 shirt
for an absolute calamity.
Yeah.
So now we know that the manager has been sacked, which is the 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th manager since Roman Abramovich
came in 04.
In 04. So
they've had no stability whatsoever.
By the way, that's a 14 different manager.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho had 2 spells there. So
yeah, they've had no stability whatsoever in a long-term project and a long-term manager. It's always about, we need to win trophies. Okay, this isn't going well. Get rid. New manager come in. Change it up. Okay, we've done well, but it's not working anymore. Okay, out the door. New manager comes in.
And what you were saying before, well, I haven't said before, but when we were doing a bit of research for this, Todd Bowley owner.
Is obviously new owner coming in, replacing Abramovich. He has shares in Los Angeles Lakers and things like that, but he owns the Dodgers in America. And the coach there has been in charge for 6-7 years. A long-term manager. I don't think to me, from the naked eye, I don't think they want a manager. They like a coach.
Yeah.
They dictate everything in the boardroom behind the scenes, and the coach deals with the players on the pitch and sorts that out.
Yeah.
And I think
Which
that's
is
what
sometimes
they like,
a good thing to do.
which it gives everyone
Less politics for the manager to deal with.
Which, I mean, Thomas Tuchel has had a lot of politics to deal with,
Especially with Russia and Ukraine, but we
with
won't go
Russia,
to that.
Ukraine, and stuff like that. Like, that's what I was saying about. I would think Tuchel had more in the bank to have a longer spell there, because how much he had to deal with and how well he dealt with it. By the way, in the press was great.
I've got to say, I feel like when the actual Ukraine sort of war situation happened, that's when the pivot turned more sour at Chelsea.
Yeah,
with just how much it affected the just the dressing room.
Well, the players didn't even know if Chelsea were going to exist at one point. Though,
Exactly.
Because they didn't have any money.
Yeah.
They couldn't pay anyone because they froze all of Abramovich's accounts.
That's what. Could they get the games? Could they actually afford to sell tickets? They couldn't sell tickets. They couldn't even sell. They couldn't sell the club as well because realistically, is the counter frozen?
Yeah.
So
they were in that sticky situation, and obviously, Tuchel's out there in the press every day getting asked questions. He has to answer all of the questions because Abramovich couldn't come out on TV and speak because he wasn't allowed to make any appearances.
Exactly.
So, but obviously, by the looks of it, the new ownership likes to have a long-term project and stick with a coach, which he's done with his teams in America, his sports sides in America. So, looking into new managers coming in, I think that will be taken into account very much so.
Quickly, before we move on to the managers, let's just talk about, as we're talking about owners, what Chelsea have looked like under Abramovich in terms of money spent.
Yeah.
So estimations of a total expenditure, as in that's just spent, is £2.1 billion in the transfer market. That is on 490 incoming players since 2004. A
lot of players.
Yeah, and as I'm just going to
will that include signings that they made into the academy?
Not too sure.
Yeah.
But
thinking about it,
I think it's all on transfers.
Yeah.
But for Chelsea, I've got a nice little stat here. Since Abramovich, there's only 2 clubs that have actually had a worse sort of net spend in terms of how much they've lost.
Yeah.
Which is Man City and United.
Yeah.
And City's is the highest net loss of 1.3 billion, and Manchester United is 1 billion.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea's sitting just behind them with a negative net spend of 947 million.
I think the whole Abramovich was always focused on quick success.
Yeah, instant success.
Instant success. It was always, obviously, mentioned sacking and hiring managers all the time. But with that, you have to then sell and buy players all of the time.
Yeah, because they want new and new and new.
They want new players coming in.
Yeah.
They don't go into, managers don't go in the club and see a group of players and go, right,
this is what I've got.
You're not going to give us any money to spend. This is what I've got, so I'm going to coach.
The only manager that had done that under Abramovich was Frank Lampard. But because they had a ban.
Yeah, they had a chance.
That was the only reason.
And he did extremely well with it. I can't remember the finish.
4th.
3rd or 4th?
4th, I think it was.
4th.
But realistically, with the youth squad.
Yeah, but he couldn't sign anyone, so he brought the academy players, like your likes of your Mason Mount, your Tomoris, your Abrahams, players like that. Reece James, he's just signed a new contract. And they did extremely well because they were all playing for the shirt, because it all came from Cobham. And then all of a sudden, Frank Lampard got given 200 million nest egg to spend the summer after, bought the likes of Havertz and all these big name players, and didn't know how to coach them because he's never coached that level quality before. Because all the players coming through Cobham was so excited and wanted to play under Frank Lampard because at the end of the day they're all Chelsea kids
And
they
they're also
grew up
seeing
watching Frank
all
Lampard.
these other kids getting chances of my big chance next, and then 200 million being spent on transfer, and they're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, like they didn't have to go and spend that much money.
No,
They could have just added a few additional players for squad depth, but that's it. So it could have been a turning point there as well.
Just before we go into managers again, we're talking about sort of expenditure and stuff like that, and stuff around the club.
Yeah.
The stadium. The new owners have announced that they want to make a major upgrade to the West Stand, which is around about an increase of 40,000 capacity. But before that, the last time there was an actual major change in terms of structural was in 1998. So it's been 24 years since there was a major change to Stamford
I
Bridge.
think the stadium plans were put in place before the new owners came in, but obviously it's up to them to now implement them.
Yeah.
Because obviously they have to get signed off by London Council and things like that to be able to do the renovations and things. So it's going to be them who have to push this through now. I don't know about Cobham, what their facilities are like, the training facilities, but they do need an upgrade on Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, 100%.
Because
it's an aging stadium.
Yeah, very much so. Not as bad as Man U's Old Trafford.
Yeah.
But it is still an aging stadium, definitely.
Now on to the managers.
But on to relevant news, obviously managers. Headline in the race is Graham Potter. You have Pochettino, Zinedine Zidane, Thomas Frank from Brentford, his name's been in the hat.
Yeah.
Allegri's name was in the hat.
Which I never really understood because he's just filming at Juventus as well.
Yeah, his diamond formation. Don't know who else, but we were talking about this yesterday off mic. I think Zidane's been completely quiet about getting any sort of job. He could have went in for the Man U job.
In club football.
In club football. He could have went for the Man U job. He could have went for the PSG job. He could go for the Chelsea job. But
very easily with his CV.
Yeah, with his CV at Real Madrid, unbelievable. But he's completely ghosted everything. And my theory is I think he's going to get the France job after the World Cup. Obviously, Didier Deschamps isn't getting any younger.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, he's won the World Cup and things like that with France, so he's done extremely good things there.
Yeah.
Finish it off potentially on a high note at the World Cup for France, and I think a young manager in Zidane is still technically a young manager, and Zidane comes in and takes the reins for France from there on in after the World Cup. So I think that's why he stays quiet. Pochettino, I saw Jamie Carragher said that he thinks Pochettino would be the man for the Chelsea job. No. Opinions on it, but me is a no.
No. Hasn't really done nothing at PSG.
He didn't win the league at PSG.
With the unlimited budget that they have. He's not a manager that is bred for success and winning trophies. He's got no experience in winning trophies.
Oh, like sorry, he won
the French Cup.
The French Cup. Well, 2 French Cups.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, like realistically, that's not the way forward. So, I think we both agree on Graham Potter
is the most likely option and a good option for Chelsea because he fits the mould of what the owners want. A coach, not a manager, a coach who's going to come in young, but he's got Premier League experience and plays a certain way of football, which will
suit Chelsea.
He
plays 5 at the back at Brighton, and Chelsea also play 5 at the back.
Yeah,
play very similar systems, and I think you have got like sort of a bit of information on how he likes to play.
Into how he likes to play, but with Potter and that experience in the Premier League, but it's going to fit them because he is a young English manager. They like to have a long-term project, and Graham Potter's going to do that because he's been at what is it? How long has he been at Brighton for? I took the screenshot. I know he was at a club in Sweden for.
I think it's been like 6 years.
He joined Brighton in 29. Well, he's joined Brighton in 2018. He's been in charge for 134 matches. He's won.
So he's got plenty of Premier League experience.
He was in charge in Sweden. Joined them in 2010-11 season up until 17-18 season.
So he's been there for a long. He was there for a long time.
That
so
was
he's
in
there
the
for
second
project.
division. He was there for a long time. Project, but that's the thing is no one really, because of his playing career, no one really heard of Graham Potter. He's went out of his way in Sweden to learn the game.
Exactly.
And it's doing him well, unlike certain other English managers who have got jobs because of who they were as a player and not necessarily of who they are as a coach.
I'd say Frank Lampard is definitely that person, but Steven Gerrard isn't really that person because he went to Rangers. And learned the game a bit more.
But it's a bit like what John Terry's doing.
Yeah, he's taking his time, but he's not rushing into it.
He hasn't joined. He hasn't been a manager yet. He's just been assistant coach and coach and stuff like that. Patrick Vieira went to America.
Oh yeah.
To learn his trade. Now he's come back to the Premier League and is doing really well at Palace.
Yeah.
So similar stuff with what Graham Potter's done. But yeah, so his Brighton team like to play a 3-4-3. And the way he likes to play on the offensive side of things is having his left and right centre half being able to step up. He likes to have his wing backs high and wide, creating that space for players to move into. He likes
had a bit of a wedgie there.
His his two tens behind the striker. He always likes one of them to drop deep into midfield area, and one of them to push and support the striker.
Yeah.
So then he likes to have control of possession in the midfield, which I've got a stat somewhere of how they control possession. So last season, his side amassed the 4th highest average possession per 90 minutes last season.
Under a Brighton.
With 54.8% possession. The only teams to have more was Man City, Liverpool and Chelsea, average more. So
which is mental.
He has a clear ability to be able to dominate games.
And that's with a weaker side.
With the structure he likes to play, with a weaker side.
He plays for he has a Brighton team controlling possession.
Yeah.
If he can do that with Chelsea, I think they could bring the character back to that team again, like they did. Like we've already spoke about, they just like to dominate them. They like to just mesmerize them with the ball.
Yeah.
Have them constantly on the head, looking, shifting to left to right, and then obviously finding that pocket space to get the ball in the box or have a shot.
But the good thing with Potter is he's very flexible and adaptable depending on the players that he's got.
Oh, but the thing is though, he's got a lot of players now at Chelsea.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of talent.
He isn't stuck in his ways. Depending on the strengths and weaknesses of the side that he has, he will change and adapt his football, but he also do that against opposition. So instead of saying, right, I'm big boss here, we are going to play this way and I'm not going to change it,
which is a bit like Thomas Tuchel has been doing.
Which is a bit like Thomas Tuchel. He will look at his opposition and go,
I need to
Man City, I don't think I can play high pressing football against them because 2 passes and they're in behind Haaland scores.
Exactly.
So he would alter his way of playing to that team. So obviously his left centre half, right centre half, he likes to push them forward.
Yeah.
When they're going forward, they push into like fullback areas.
Yeah.
So obviously Cucurella, which we mentioned, has just moved to Chelsea from Brighton. He was utilised as a left centre back because of his ability to push forward and be progressive with the ball. A bit like Antonio Rudiger last season.
Yeah.
But obviously they just signed Fofana. Fofana does that at Leicester as well.
Yeah.
But then you've got your 2 centre mids who he likes to be able to drop and create triangles and pass into. That's why they dominate possession so much in getting forward and being progressive in that way.
That was a great insight into what Graham Potter wants. Well, probably will apply at Chelsea and what he's been applying at Brighton for some time now.
Yeah.
So in terms of the players that they've got available, they've obviously had quite a large transfer window.
Yeah.
We all know that. But if Graham Potter comes in, he probably needs to change up a few different players.
Yeah,
And just the general progression of the team itself, with the age of the midfield coming into question. Kantner might not fit that system that you've just talked about. That player that can drop in and create those triangles and can also be creative.
Yeah.
He does have ability to go forward, but his role as a midfielder is to win that ball back. And that's not really the role that Graham Potter wants to play. They don't want to play that constant counter-attacking game. They want to choke the other team. They want to control the game. So if they obviously would probably, if Graham Potter started off, he'd probably play Jorginho and Kovacic in midfield, or Conor Gallagher and Jorginho in midfield. But with probably the more experience in the Premier League, you'd probably just go with Kovacic.
Yeah. I think you'll have to come in and you'll have to try and sort of steady the ship.
Yeah, he's going to have to play conservative and make sure that they are comfortable playing with the ball under Graham Potter, and slowly implement his attacking game.
I think the players that you'll start to let into will probably be the experienced players.
Yeah. It'll probably be like Aspilicueta, Thiago Silva and Koulibaly that are playing centre back. He's going to have Reece James at right back. Cucurella will be playing in the left wing back position.
Yeah, but I think Cucurella will be playing because he knows him.
Exactly, and he's
Brighton. Mm-hmm. So I think he'll be looking to start to implement the controlling the game of football rather than
just trying to score loads and loads of goals. Just make sure they sort of understand the way that he wants to play. Creating those triangles, like you said before, between the left wing backs, the centre backs, for the left side and right side of the centre backs to be more progressive, which they haven't really been this season.
No,
so far, and making sure they just dominate games.
I'd say
maybe if it's a 1-0 win, that's fine for them. Just getting 3 points and understanding the way they want Graham Potter to play.
He'll come in and, like I say, he's very adaptable. So if he doesn't think his players will be able to play the way he wants to play, then he'll change the change.
He won't force it.
No, he won't force it. He'll make the change. Go right. I don't have the quality of player right now, or the player that I want now. So I'll change it until next summer, where I can
the winter
or in January to bring the players in that I want. Yeah. Which I don't think Todd Bowley has tight pockets. I think he's very open to spending money. So next summer.
On that topic of bringing in players,
we've got 4 positions where we think they could do with strengthening.
Either improvement or strengthening in that general position. Yeah,
and the players are would fit the mould of
what Graham Potter would want to do,
and also would fit the mould of kind of what Chelsea and Todd Bowley would want, type of players that they'd want to bring in.
So the positions that we've collectively thought of is right wing back, centre mid and striker. Just making sure they've got a better spine, and then also strengthening the right wing back position,
which they've only got. Recently they've been having to play Loftus-Cheek as a right wing back. They
can either play Aspilicueta right wing back, but that's exposing them quite a lot to balls in behind.
Yeah, because a few years ago he could do that, but now not so much.
But let's start off with the right wing back position. So we went with Ricardo Pereira, age 28, £18 million transfer market value from Leicester.
He is a very good player.
He's a solid right wing back. He's got pace, he's good in a tackle, and he's confident on the ball.
Before, obviously, he has had injury issues because he did his ACL, but I remember him being quite a goal scoring right back at Leicester. He was always notching up in the box and scoring goals. Another option at right wing back that we've got is Dumfries.
I think is the more likely option.
Milan. I think he's a very exciting. Well, he's still only 26.
Yeah, but he's more established as prime. Well.
Yeah,
he's established.
Yeah, give PSV into Inter Milan. Established right wing back, likes to get forward, but is really good in a tackle and good in the air at the same time. So I think he would be a good option. We're not saying that Reece James needs to be replaced.
No, this is strengthening that position.
Reece James is the only player who can naturally play there these days.
Yeah.
Reece James can tuck into the right centre back role as well, or play right wing back.
I think he's one of the most complete right wing backs that possibly plays football now. He's strong, he's fast, he's good on the ball, he can shoot. The goal that he scored against Ajax.
Yeah, but through the academy, if you ever seen him talk, Reece James started off as a striker as a teenager, then dropped into centre mid and played there for a few years. And a bit like Trent, only became a right back to be able to get into the first
team football. Yeah.
So that's our right wing back options. Our centre back options. Now, obviously, we know they've just brought in Fofana and Koulibaly, but take into consideration Thiago Silva is 37, fast approaching 38.
Aspilicueta, also an aging centre back. They have that Trevor Chalobah, but again, you need depth. If you're playing 3 centre backs, you're gonna also have to have a spare 3 centre backs to have to play, or minimum 2.
Yeah, you need at least 5, 6 centre halves if you're going to play 3 at the back.
Exactly.
And you can't just have players who can cover there, like Cucurella coming in at left centre half or Reece James coming in at right centre back. You need to have them in there. So we've picked out 2. One being an academy graduate from Cobham, who we both said should never have been sold, in Fikio Tomori.
The thing is, they don't even have a buyback option on him as well,
which is shocking. AC Milan have just penned him on a new deal as well to 2027, which makes the deal a lot harder to be able to bring him back. He's got 45 million transfer market value, but we're saying that he would be a perfect fit for them. Yeah, essentially.
Alongside another Italian Italian side of centre back, he's also Italian, is Bastoni from Inter Milan. Sorry,
Inter Milan.
He's young, 23-year-old. He's got a transfer valuation of 54 million. Obviously, with the Tomori sort of deal, he's just signed until 2027. That's more likely, and I think he's also a left-footed centre back.
Yeah,
play Wesley Fofana on the right side of centre back, Koulibaly down the middle.
Yeah,
and then Bastoni on the left.
I think so. The 2 centre halves that we picked out fit the mould of Graham Potter perfectly. They're very progressive with the ball, can drive forward into midfield, very comfortable, quick centre half. So obviously, if he's going to play a high pressing way of football, you've got players who can run in behind and cover him.
Exactly.
Good in the air, strong in the tackle. So those 2 are our top picks for Chelsea. Moving into central midfield now. It is an area that they tried to strengthen in the summer, but couldn't get anyone in.
Exactly.
Hence the reason of signing Zakaria on loan with an option to buy. Yeah. Which he's still only 24, 25-year-old. He could come very good.
He could. We're saying they need to strengthen this position because one, Kante is not going to fit the mould, and he's aging. Jorginho's aging. Yes, he fits the system, but he's 31-year-old. You've got to remember.
To an extent, he doesn't really have the legs, does he?
Exactly. And then also Kovacic, 28, 29-year-old.
I think he's approaching 29. But I think Kovacic fits Graham Potter's mould perfectly.
So Conor Gallagher is a similar player as well.
Yeah, but they both fit well. But obviously, if you're playing 2 centre, you need the strength and depth. But Kovacic is quite injury prone.
Yeah, exactly.
And Conor Gallagher's only young.
Exactly, and probably hasn't got you want to be winning now and you want to be winning fast. You might need a bit more. You might need another loan spell out at another team. I don't know. He did play well at Crystal Palace, I understand, but at the same time, you've got to be winning now.
If you've got Graham Potter coming in as a long-term but English manager, that could really help Conor Gallagher in improving, because at the end of the day, Graham Potter hasn't worked with superstars before.
Exactly.
He knows how to bring through the right players at the right time, and that could work very, very well at Chelsea.
Before we move on to centre mids, just quickly, I just thought of something there. Obviously, with Graham Potter being a Brighton manager, and we obviously said that he wants to strengthen the right wing back position. Yeah. Tariq Lamptey. Yeah. We've obviously mentioned him before in another episode. Yeah. There also could be potential there for him to sign there. Yeah. But
it is a player that I had thought about as well, because Brighton links. and I think he does warrant very soon a move to a top club because he is an excellent player.
Was Tarek Lamptey not already at Chelsea?
I think you could name about 40% of players in world football who have ever been loaned out to a club have come from
Cobham. I feel like he was Chelsea.
He was Chelsea. He was.
There's another player that Chelsea have let out, became good, and then they probably should end up buying back. But anyway,
speaking of another one that Chelsea let go, centre mids that they should be looking to get, and I think they will get, Declan Rice.
Perfect fit.
Yeah.
Replace Jorginho.
He will be pricey. English tax, Premier League tax.
And a good player as well.
And a very good player. And young.
And he's also got a big 16.
Yeah. So a lot of tax on top of it. Age 23, 72 million transfer market value. David Moyes has said previously he would cost 150 million. Which is outrageous, but we'll not talk about transfer figures in football.
Yeah.
Declan Rice, good on the ball, really good in the pivot, can drive forward.
I think he's the complete midfielder.
Defensively unbelievable. I think he would fit in there perfectly. Obviously he's come through Cobham, Chelsea's academy, so
he understands the foundations,
the football club, and a little potential outside bet, would we say, for the next player for centre midfield.
Yeah, so we obviously saw that Fulham were interested in Aouar for 13 million, which is extremely cheap, and also the transfer market evaluation says it's 24 million.
And
but
we found out why it was 13 million.
His contract is expiring at the end of the year. He's 24-year-old. You've got an injury-prone Asian midfielder in Kovacic.
Yeah.
You've got Jorginho that's Asian. You've got Kante that's Asian. You need to bring through some players.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mount can play centre midfield, but we'll talk a bit more about him. But he would be the perfect player to join that system.
Yeah.
Sign him on a free deal.
Yeah.
You're not spending a bomb amount of money. Literally, you can just wait for him to come in the summer.
It says.
Or if you want to pay £13 million, you can get him in January. And that's not a lot of money.
It'll probably be less by the time January comes
Exactly.
around, but he is a very forward-thinking midfielder. Often
he's creative.
He can be played as a 10 or an 8, but I think he would still work well in that two-man midfield because you've got the security of the three centre-halves behind you.
Exactly.
And the two full-backs. Good on the ball going forward, so I think he would be a good outside bet and very cheap option.
100%. Finally,
last position that I think everyone knows that they need a strength.
Which is a striker. Another player that's been sent out by Chelsea with a massive mistake, but they have a buyback clause on him.
Yeah,
it's Tammy Abraham. They've got a £69 million buyback clause, so
which comes into play
2023. So
2023 summer. So this summer coming up.
So that's probably when Graham Potter's first summer transfer with them.
Yeah.
Well, if he does sign for them. I mean, reliable striker, played well for them in the first place. Never should have sold him in the.
And has been an absolute beast at Roma under Mourinho.
Exactly.
So he would be a good fit. We didn't really want to pick out all these players that Chelsea have let go, but
they are the perfect.
They are the perfect fit for them. Like, there's no question about it. They are such a good fit for how they're going to be playing football. And then another English striker who is our second option for that position for them is Ivan Toney from Brentford. He has been on absolute fire for them this season. 26-year-old with a 31.5 million transfer market value.
Yeah.
There's just not much more you can say about him.
Goal scorer, proven in the Premier League.
English. Strong, powerful, quick. I think he would just fit that mould really well for scoring goals for them. So,
listen, all these transfers that we think they should bring in. This is what we would like, including those transfers, what their team should look like come start of next season.
Come start of potentially Graham Potter's first full season.
The starting the 2023-24 season.
Yeah. Which
would be in goal, Mendy, reliable goalkeeper. We know that already. He's a very good goalkeeper.
Fofana, Koulibaly and Bastoni as the three centre halves. Koulibaly dropping into the centre, of those other two.
Bastoni on the left and Fofana on the right hand side of the centre backs.
Yeah.
Like we said before, Bastoni left-footed centre back, Fofana right-footed centre back.
Both young, hungry defenders, quick, be able to cover Koulibaly really well.
With James in right wing back and Cucurella in left wing back.
Yeah, just a note on Cucurella, because obviously they've got Ben Chilwell. Now we debate this point is, I believe Ben Chilwell is better than Cucurella. You think Cucurella is better than Ben Chilwell. But because of the way Graham Potter played at Brighton, obviously you had Cucurella. Cucurella used to play as a left centre half, and I think there was a stat of I think it was 62% of all Brighton's attacks last season came down that left hand side, because Cucurella was always being progressive and going forward. So they do have that option of dropping him into that left centre back role and playing Ben Chilwell as that left wing back as well. But that's on potential stuff.
Two centre mids.
Two man in midfields. We've gone for Declan Rice and Conor Gallagher.
I think we went for that because realistically, by the time of 2023, if they get an hour, they might have been playing Conor Gallagher through the time that Graham Potter's been here, and he might have proved himself. But we think that Conor Gallagher,
we do believe Conor Gallagher is an extremely good midfielder,
and both English, so.
And both came through Chelsea's academy. Yeah,
so that's why. And then on the sort of reasoning behind the left side, you were saying Cucurella, he's been playing with Graham Potter for a while. A lot of the attacks have came down the left hand side, and so far a lot of the goals have actually came down the left hand side for Chelsea so far under Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
So we've got him left forward, Mountain right forward, and then striker of Tammy Abraham.
Yeah. So the whole thing on, again, go back to how, because it does look likely that Potter's going to come in charge. It was announced a couple of hours ago that he's verbally agreed. He likes to have one of those 2 10s to be able to drop in and support in midfield, and the other one advance and be a support to a number 9. Now you would have Mount would perfectly be able to drop in and create from deep. And then you've got Sterling pushing up next to Abraham, a big striker who would be able to get those flicks on, knocks on, or Sterling to get onto the ball and in behind from there. So yeah, that would be our starting 11 for Chelsea.
And that would be our club revamp and what we think they need to do to improve their season and coming seasons.
Yeah.
Let us know if there's anything that you would change or what you would implement into that Chelsea sort of revamp. Please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
Social medias are linked down below as well, our TikTok and Instagram.
And other than that,
happy days on Chelsea.
Thank you very much for watching.